Is this working?
Is it on?
It's not working. Oh, it is working. Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. As our lovely introduction told us, I'm Wendy. I am founder and owner at MuTu System. I'm from England, which you may be able to tell from the accent. And MuTu System is a doctor-recommended, worldwide, best-selling online exercise programs for mums, okay? I put mums' bodies back together again after they have babies. That's what MuTu does. And this lovely lady is Melodie from Business Tech Ninjas based in Toronto in Canada. My business started 7 years ago online with a flip camera, hence the title. I was filming videos in my back garden and Googling how to stick them online. Fast forward to now, and we have a $1 million and growing membership site and more than 30,000 members worldwide going up every day. Thank you. Now, the reason we're here today, the reason I've flown in and Melodie is here is because Melodie and Business Tech Ninjas, her company, are a finalist in the Partner Showcase Award at ICON. So what Melodie's going to do now is tell you a bit about what we're going to cover. What we're going to cover, hopefully, is going to have some real value for anybody running or thinking of running a membership site and or certification programs as well. She's also going to tell you how you can help her win, because she can't win unless you do something. So over you to Melodie. Tell us what we're going to hear.
Is this on? Thank you all for coming. I know you had a lot of choices of where to go at ICON today. Can we switch? Next slide.
Yes, sorry.
So today, we are going to learn the nuts and bolts of building a $1 million online company while still having a life. We're going to avoid the number one mistake that business owners make when scaling, and we're going to figure out the number one mindset trick that will transform your business and your life. Next. And at the end of it, if you haven't downloaded the ICON app, I'm going to give you very specific information for exactly how to do that, and also step-by-step information for how to vote so we can be the Partner Showcase Award winner. Wendy, now, it's going to be a little bit of a context if we go through all the nuts and bolts of building a membership site without the context of what your business is. Could you tell us a little bit more about what MuTu is?
Yeah, sure thing. So in order for you to get value out of what we're going to share today, some insights, some lessons, what I've certainly learned from mistakes that I've made, what's worked and what hasn't, you're going to need a little bit of context as to what it is. So as I've explained, MuTu comes from mummy tummy. MuTu System is an online program for mums. So it is a 12-week process, and women access the videos and all the information they need from a membership site online. Now, all those lovely people that you also see on the slide, as of last year, 2016, we also launched a certification program whereby I personally certify yoga teachers, fitness instructors, physical therapists, midwives, everybody working in that sort of marketplace with women at this time of their lives. I am certifying these people to use MuTu System principles and lessons in what they do. So from a business model point of view, that you will hopefully be able to relate to is there are kind of two audiences. My main customer base, certainly my prime priority in terms of customer is normal mums that buy the program. Okay, so it's straight to consumer. There are tens of thousands of them. It's a very tight-knit community. It's a very active community online, and that takes a lot of looking after and moderating and sort of making sure that these women have everything they need. Then there's a second audience. There's a second group of customers of MuTu System, and they are these professionals. Now, these certified professionals, they require a very different looking after and a very different sort of service from us, in that obviously I need to train them in that first instance, but then they're out there as affiliates for selling the program. So essentially they're our sales team. But they're not salespeople necessarily. They're fitness people or midwives. So as you can imagine, that involves a whole new set of nurturing and teaching and looking after. So that's that's the business model. That's who I'm looking after. And the reason I'm doing it, I came to this, I was a personal trainer for about 10 years before sort of moving things online. And what I was finding in those early years as a trainer was when I was working with women who had recently had babies, what I had been taught to teach wasn't really working. And many of the women I was talking to were dealing with core issues, pelvic floor issues, and emotional issues that really weren't being answered or addressed by mainstream fitness professionals, by the fitness media, by our general media. They really weren't being served, in my view, and so I set out to change that. And so I looked outside of my industry at the time, which was kind of purely fitness, if you like, and kind of looked towards more biomechanics and physical therapy and other places that I thought might have the answers to these questions. And it was the result of that study and working with those people and obviously practicing on many hundreds of women that I came to the program that is MuTu System. Sometime in between that space, 2 babies of my own. And I often think there's not many jobs or careers, unfortunately, for women where having children is better for your career. But in my case, it was, because it kind of went from when you turn up at somebody's door and they've recently had a baby and you've come to be their trainer, and they kind of look you up and down, they're like, you haven't done this, have you? And so sort of having my own kids certainly made everything a little bit more relatable for me too. I also kind of got off my high horse about, well, if you just do this, it'll be easy, because I was there myself. So that's sort of what MuTu is. The principle that it comes from is a philosophy and an absolute belief that every woman deserves a body that works, that functions, and to feel good about herself. And that's what MuTu does. That's what MuTu System's all about. So, I'm going to, if you could go on one, I'm going to, this is England on a summer's day.
It's a beautiful day in England.
It's about as sunny as it gets. But the reason I'm showing you England on a summer's day is because I've kind of given you a little bit of the whole history, so you kind of some context to the business as a whole. But what we're here to talk about is kind of MuTu since Melodie. So MuTu since Melodie starts sometime in the summer of 2015. Now, to give context to where I was then as a business, in mid-2015, I was just comfortably into the 6-figure mark, so really happy with my online business. It was going well. Things were really starting to pick up. But of course, with that success, as we all know, more numbers means more customer service inquiries, means more finance inquiries, just more work, more admin, more everything. But things were going well, so I'm thinking, okay, so this is what businesses do now. We up level, we throw money at the problem. And so I found an agency that was going to overhaul everything. They were going to make everything wonderful. And by that I mean they were going to redo my website, they were going to completely redo the e-commerce, the shopping cart on that. They were going to make everything work. And this was around sort of January, February 2015 that I first took these guys on. And every July, we do a big promotion at MuTu for my birthday. My birthday's in July, and every year I give away my age as the discount. So the discount just keeps on getting bigger. And obviously the discount was like 21 at that time. So we're building up to this big sale, and I tell this agency, okay, so I need this to happen. You can do that? Oh, yeah, we can do that. I need it to look like this. I need it to do this. I need it to integrate with that. Yep, no problem. We can do all that. And it absolutely has to be ready at least before this big promotion in July. No problem at all. It's going to be done way before that. So... Are
you ready for the next one?
You can probably tell where this is going. Yeah. So
we need a sound effect.
this is what actually happened on July the 6th, 2015. For the first couple of hours, everything kind of ticked over and seemed to be going well, and we were making sales and stuff. And it became clear a couple hours into this just 24-hour promotion. We literally have a 24-hour window when we run this promotion, and it's a really big, important cash flow part of our year at MuTu. And yeah, so a couple of hours in, something became clear, and that was that we were taking clients' money, customers' money, but they weren't receiving anything, which is kind of a problem, as you can imagine. And so kind of everything blew up. Everything blew up. Now, what happened at that time was I was dealing with quite a few sort of separate suppliers. As we all do as we grow, we kind of gradually tag on another supplier, another service provider. I was working with a great Infusionsoft partner at the time, Raven. I think she's here. And Raven was fantastic. And when this happened, I learned a lot about not only business and tech, but also about people during this time, because some people step up when the hits the fan, and others don't. And Raven was fantastic. My team were amazing. But there was a massive cleanup to do. And basically over the next sort of, days first, but then weeks that followed, we had to manually process and deliver to thousands of customers. So you can imagine that was highly stressful. It was very expensive. If you go to the next one, Melodie. Yeah. I stopped counting at around 50 grand. I'm not kidding. This was how much it cost me in terms of everything going wrong. So it cost me that in, obviously some lost sales, but just in the pure service provider time that obviously I had to pay for. My team were doing everything manually. And what became clear too as this happened was that this agency, these guys that were going to save the day and make everything work.
Excuse me. Is it possible to get
what they did was kind of just went, nothing to do with us. Our bit worked. Raven's nodding here. she remembers the explosion well. So what happened at this time? Lots of frustration. Lots of pain, lots of expense. Now, as I said, things were going quite well with the business. I was in a position, luckily, that I could spend this money, but obviously it was a severe hole in our cash flow. And so it became very clear to me at this point that I needed a new approach. I needed to change the way I was hiring, the support that I needed in my team. I needed a new approach to kind of handing over, and I don't know if any of you can relate to this as business owners, but whether it's, say a lawyer or an accountant or tech, whatever it might be, we kind of go, well, they're the experts, so, I'm just going to pay them the money and they're going to do the thing. And one of the things that I learned very, very starkly at this time is that you do have to know something. You do have to know enough to do what with hindsight feels very obvious, but you have to do your due diligence and you have to ask the right questions. And if you don't totally understand what it is you need, it's very hard to ask the right questions. And if you don't understand at least a level of the technology, the systems, the processes that you're going to need, it is impossible to then relay that to somebody and expect them to make it all work for you. So I knew I needed things to change. I couldn't afford 50 grand 24 hours. That wasn't going to happen again. And so at that time, Raven wasn't going to be able to have the capacity to give me the hours and things I needed. And so she recommended me to a lovely lady called Melodie Moore. And Melodie came riding in.
She chose this photo. I didn't choose this photo. Apparently, I look a lot like her.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're in good hands when this comes charging in, right? So my kids saw these slides, and my daughter, she's 11. She was like, "Is that really Melodie?" I said, "Yeah. Doesn't she look good?"
It's my next photo shoot.
So, and what was going to happen over the next... So we are now in kind of August to September 2015. So this is like... So mine and Melodie's sort of partnership on MuTu System is around 18 months old. And we were just saying this morning, like, was it really only 2015? Because it's hard to believe that we've implemented so much and done so much in that time. the numbers matter an awful lot. The numbers matter, as you saw with that 50K, that mattered. And over the next year or so, with working with Melodie and with a better team around me, the agency were long gone. This is where the numbers were going to start to go over the next. So this is over the first 12 months that I started partnering with Melodie. So the numbers, million, smashed and gone. We went, yay, we did $1 million, and then we did £1 million, and yeah. So we've had a really good few sessions. So 44% revenue increase over that time. We also had, in terms of, go on. Thank you, darling. List growth by 55%. So these are all the numbers that were going to happen over the next year or so. And also, just to give you a comparison as well, to the birthday sale 2016, so obviously that was 22%, that was literally 24 hours when myself, Melodie, and the rest of my team were like, okay, we're ready, hit the button, come on, it's all gonna go. We were ready for everything to go wrong. And literally, we were kind of WhatsApping each other going, it's working. Seems to be working.
It was sweet.
It was sweet. Next one, please. And this is sort of one of the biggest numbers, if you like, that have been so incredibly important in the sheer number of hours that my customer service and admin people were doing as well. And so the automation, the processing, and the stuff that Melodie's going to talk to you about now has made such an enormous difference. So I'm going to hand over to
Melodie?
To Melodie, yeah, because the numbers matter, the systems matter just as much, if not more, to make it work. And she's going to explain those.
So this is the fun part. Well, I think it's fun. Does everyone else think systems are fun? Yeah, come on. I take a very unique, I don't know if it's unique, but I take the approach of going in very logically when we think about automation. And it really comes from, okay, what's already happening in the business? And if we get a huge growth, then is the business going to be able to handle that? And one of the things was emails being sent in to MuTu System. So one of the most common emails that Wendy gets is, what is diastasis recti? I'm not going to get into explaining it because I'm not qualified for that. But the challenge was that her customer service team, they knew some of it, but they were giving slightly different answers each time. And each time they write one of these emails, it takes them 1 to 5 minutes, which if you get 10 of these emails every day, it kind of starts to add up. So in order to solve this problem, we use a ticketing system. So with the ticketing system, there are templated emails. The ticketing system is connected to Infusionsoft, by the way. And Wendy has drafted that email of exactly what diastasis recti is, and then the customer service person can go in at the top of the email and just say, she'll say something very personal to what that person has said within that email. So this ticketing system allows for the customer service team to scale, having to do a whole lot of training for them. Now, if you're going to apply this to your business, I challenge you to go into what you're already doing and start tracking your time. Do it for a day if you can. If you can do it for a week, even better. And if you have a team, have them do it as well. And I would put money down. I don't know how much money, but I would put money down that there are things that you're doing repetitively. There's questions that you're getting asked over and over again that you can automate. And it's very easy to come to a conference like this and see all of these great things happening and be like, yeah, I want to apply that too. But automation has some of its best power in what you're already doing and doing it better, cheaper, and faster. I think I messed that up. So go into your system and take an audit of what you're already doing and find an automation expert and say, hey, is it possible to do this better? So my second point is, not everything can be handled just with an email back and forth. Sometimes the customer service team needs to actually do something. So a common occurrence of this is that Wendy meets this fabulous blogger, and she's like, okay, can you go into my program, and I want you to write an article about it and then post it somewhere. Now, we don't want to give access to for this blogger like forever. And when we look at their contact record within Infusionsoft, we want to know why they got access. What was happening is that the team would go into the contact profile and they would apply a tag, and we'd go in 6 months later and we'd be like, so why does this person have access to the program? I don't really remember why. And we'd be like, okay, yeah, like Wendy asked me after that event, huge time killer and just a pain in the butt. So we use internal forms to handle this. And internal forms are a great solution if there's anything that you need your customer service team, and frankly yourself as well if you're a solopreneur, that you need to check off certain boxes. It's great oversight over your system. So for them, the contact name gets auto-populated. Internal forms are only viewable by someone that's logged into Infusionsoft. They say, okay, what's the access that you're giving them? For Wendy, it would be for the 12-week program. And we also put an expiry date, which is connected with the campaign, which will remove that tag, send them an email perhaps after. And then finally, why was this person given access? And this allows us to go back and track backwards when we look at that contact record of why they were allowed to come into the site. Now, the one thing that supports all of this is campaigns. And unfortunately, I would love to get really deep and dirty in all of the awesome campaigns we've built out for Wendy, but we only have an hour. So I'll give you one of my favorite tricks. And we have a lovely little Membarium community. Membarium's the software we use for the membership site. And I was kind of chatting with them, and I told them about this really cool trick that we had, because one of the problems we encountered was people would sign up for the program, and then they kind of get their email wrong. And when I say kind of got their email wrong, they got their email wrong. They put gmail.co. And granted, yes, the customer did make this mistake, but we want to help them. We want to take care of them. So what we decided to do is you can do an action set within Infusionsoft, which checks for a valid email. So the action set will check for a valid email, apply a tag if they don't have a valid email, and then in the campaign through a decision diamond, if they don't have a valid email, then it'll create a task for the customer service rep to contact them, or oftentimes we can just go into their contact record and make it .com instead of .co. And this just looks incredibly professional to the customer, because the customer doesn't even know it happened, whereas previously it kind of looked a little bit messy. Now, the overarching thing over all three of these items is that we looked at what was already happening in the business, and we found ways to do it better. We found better ways to help our clients, and ultimately that makes our systems and processes smoother, cuts down on time, but also makes the customer experience that much better. Can I go to the next one? So now, we've kind of talked a little bit about those systems and processes, which are the back end, but we also look at whole systems. And when I talk about whole systems, Wendy's program is a membership site built on Membarium. And we wanted to, when we did our redesign about 1.5 years ago, we decided, okay, how can we make this process as smooth and wonderful for clients as we can? Because ultimately, if they're happy, they're going to tell their friends, and they're going to possibly buy other products from us as well. And it also cuts down on the customer service time. And that's a really big cost of having people constantly monitoring clients. So for MuTu System, we have kind of like a template. And I've applied this to not just Wendy's business, but lots of others as well. When they first get access, they're sent a welcome email. I know, pretty standard. In that welcome email is a login button. Now, what's really cool about this login button is that when they click on it, it will automatically log them into the membership site. Now, this means they don't have to type in their email, and they don't have to type in their password. Seems logical, right? Well, most sites don't do this. And it's such a smooth and nice transition for the customer just to have to press that button and go right to the site. Now, when they get to the site, we don't just give them a big page with everything on it. We give them a welcome page. And on that welcome page, we have Wendy saying, "Thank you for coming. Thank you for buying this program." And I've seen the emails in the inbox where women come in and they email in and they're like, "Your video, it made me tear up." It's such a lovely way of getting them into the program. And then from there, they go through a couple little tips of, how can you get the most out of this program? And at the bottom, they're given one next step. One of the big mistakes that I see is that business owners think, okay, I'm going to give them everything all at once, and they're going to love it. And what ends up happening is analysis paralysis. They're like, should I go there, or should I go do that? Or I don't know. No, I don't. And then they just never use the program, which means they're not very happy with their purchase, which is not really good for anybody. So they go and they start the program, and they go to their first module. Now, when they come back, we have a dashboard. And this beautiful dashboard has everything they need access to all on one page. And on this page, they also see their 12 weeks. They see their 12 weeks as far as if they've completed it or if they haven't completed it. If they have completed it, they have quick links for how they can access things easier. This was something that came in, again, through the customer service portal, where members were emailing in saying, hey, I've already completed week 2 and I want to go back to that video, but I don't know where to find it. So we just wanted to make it as easy as possible for them to go through that. Now, one of the big things that we did this year was, how many of you are a part of a Facebook group online? Some sort of private, okay, like quite a few, me too. Wendy comes to me and she says, Melodie, I feel like Facebook has too much control over my users. I have my Facebook group on there, but they get all my content and all my members, and I really want it on my own platform. And I turned around, I'm like, Wendy, are you sure you want to do this? I mean, everyone goes on Facebook. People are on Facebook every day. That's the whole point of it. They're already there, and we can get them to go back to the membership site. She's like, no, Melodie, you don't, okay. So here's why I want to do this. I want to do this because I want to own the content. I don't like the fact that Facebook owns my content. And second of all, there's a lot of noise on Facebook. I have my customer service staff coming in, and they have to go through and moderate everything, and it's taking a lot of time. And I really want the community to be focused solely on my program. So I was like, okay, Wendy, I hear you. Let's move it off. So we created MuTu Connect, which is a lot like Facebook, very, very similar. It's very simple, and we've been running it for, I guess, about 6 or 7 months now, and the engagement is down, but it's better quality engagement. People are posting specifically about the program. They can search now specifically on which section of the program that they're on, and overall, I think it's a great decrease in the amount that Team MuTu has to actually spend on there as well.
Huge. Yeah.
So our first point was look at the general day-to-day things that you're doing, but don't forget your whole platforms, like your delivery service. I know not everyone in here probably has a membership site, but there's ways of looking at that of how your service is being delivered. And one of the key points that you can do is going through your own experience. I do diagnostic reports, and one of the main things I always find very curious is that business owners don't actually go through their own process. I'm like, have you ever bought your own product and gotten the confirmation email for it? They're like, no, I haven't done that. Well, I was like, well, why don't you do that? So they go through and they're like, oh, I didn't know this email was going out. Well, people don't know about this cool thing that we do. So by going through your own process, it enables you to see those different holes and gaps that are there.
I jumped too fast, sorry.
You jumped too fast? So these are our MuTu Pros. And one of the fundamental things at Business Tech Ninjas is really taking into account the idea of we like one-on-one communication. And why I personally love automation is that we can have a personal connection with a lot of people without having to email them individually all the time. So how we use automation is to email them through the system at certain points, but when they do need human interaction, to give them that human interaction. So with our MuTu Pros, first of all, let's just get an idea. How many of you run some sort of certification or a train the trainer kind of idea? Okay, cool. How many of you are thinking about it? All right, well, okay. Well, this is beneficial in multiple different ways. When our pros were being certified, we had to ask them to submit 5 different documents. And during the first one, just think about this, 30 people submitting 5 different documents, emailing into customer service saying, oh yeah, I sent that essay to you, is that okay? And is my insurance document, did I submit that? It was chaos, to say the least. So the second time around, we're like, okay, we're gonna find a better way of doing this. How can we do this? When someone joins MuTu Pro certification, they're sent an email with an auto login button, and they go directly to the Membarium membership site, and they can see those 5 different documents there that they need to submit. Not only that, but they get instruction of exactly how to fill them out. They can download the document if they need to, and then they can submit it. And the really cool thing about this is that when they submit that file, it's named according to what it is, it's named according to the date, and it gets attached to their Infusionsoft profile. So that way, at any point, if we need to review that document again, we just go to their Infusionsoft profile instead of going through this big, long list of Dropbox links, which is just a pain, to say the least. And the other point is that some of these documents needed to be approved or disapproved. So for an insurance document, we had to make sure it was valid. So when they submit that one, the little icon goes yellow, telling them it's under review. If the customer service person says it's okay, they'll get an email saying, thank you very much, it's been accepted. If it's not, they'll get an email saying, hey, you need to resubmit that document. It made the whole process so much smoother and easier for the entire team. The other point was that the MuTu Pros are our external sales team for MuTu. And we made a bit of an assumption here, thinking that these pros would know what an affiliate program is, and they'd know how to put a picture in the sidebar with a link on it. Now, the reality of this situation was that most of them didn't even have websites, and then additionally on top of that, if they did have a website, it was a Wix website, and if any of you are familiar with any web design stuff, we might get a little judgy on the people with Wix websites, not naming any names here. So what we decided to do, okay, these are our external sales team, let's help them, let's educate them. So we created a course using LearnDash and Membarium to walk them through exactly how to do this. And we made it stupid simple. So we can pull their affiliate URL from Infusionsoft and put it here, and we say, okay, copy this link, paste this link here, and just made it as easy as possible. And they loved us for it. And they're like, I love MuTu. MuTu is the most amazing thing ever. And we just won major points with our external sales team. And once that's built, we don't have to do much for it. We automate the process where they get access after they finish certification, and it's just a smooth process. Now, now Wendy, the main thing that I want you to take away from this is looking at your own processes of people that are not only in your business, but people that are external to your business, and how you can smooth those things out, and how you can make those things better for your team. And because at the end of the day, the systems alone aren't enough. Can we go to the next one?
Yes.
They have to solve problems. Otherwise, they're just systems. So one of the things that I see a lot is kind of touched on a little bit earlier, was that people will get really excited and rah-rah at an event kind of like this, and they will decide to adopt a bunch of different systems for no real purpose and to not solve any problems. And what happens here is you get complexity. And complexity without a reason. And I have a rule of thumb that I always keep in my head is how much effort is this going to take and how much is it going to improve something? And if the effort's up here and the improvement's down here, is this really something you want to do? And if the effort's down here and the improvement's up here, maybe you should do that right away. And that's really what it comes down to. Now, speaking of things blowing up, Wendy.
Experienced it. Explosions, yeah.
What is the biggest mistake that a business owner can make?
Well, one of them I told you about earlier, which resulted in a large explosion. I think, well, I'll tell you what the mistake is, and then you can sort of see the context of it. To believe in a silver bullet. Now, we kind of covered this when I said to you, like, I went to this agency, and they were going to solve all my problems. And I think what I've learned is the most important thing, is that there is no one system. There is no one person. There is no one agency. Not even Infusionsoft can solve all your problems.
But we love
they're all just systems. And I mean, Melodie's just sort of taken you through just a few elements, a few strategies and processes and automations that she's carried out to make my life easier and my customers' lives easier and my team's lives easier. But it's lots of things. It's lots of little things. It's not one massive overhaul. It's, okay, so our pros are struggling with this. How can we help? Our customer service team keeps getting this question, this email. We keep seeing this on social media. How do we solve this problem? So it's about taking your current workflows, your current processes, your current pain points, and automate those. Don't just do the systems. Don't just do the systems. Now, I said that the numbers matter, and the numbers are the lifeblood of any business, obviously, and the systems and the processes matter an awful lot, but I absolutely believe, and has been shown to me over and over again in growing this business, that none of it matters as much as the people. Because we can take on a taskmaster, we can take on an agency, we can take on a programmer, and just say, look, I need you to make this bit happen, go make this happen, and that's fine. But there is no deep understanding of your business. And that's where you need a ninja, like this ninja. So I also want to talk to you about a mindset trick. And this is also about people. It's about people and hiring people. Because as business owners, you'll all know that we don't come into this and just like have a team. We don't decide one day, okay, we're ready to grow. And we hire this whole kind of integrated, already know each other, already know what each other does team. We bring on one person at a time, one thing at a time. And so it's really, really important. I learned the hard way, but it's really, really important that you hire the right people and that you take your time doing that. So the mindset trick, the overriding most important thing I would say as a business owner that has grown something from literally ground zero through to millions is hire impeccably. Hire impeccably and then back off. That does say back off, by the way. I know the swirly font is a little bit. So hire impeccably and then back off. Now, what I mean by that is let people do their job. You hired them for their expertise. You hired them for more than that, I hope, as well, for their character, for their work ethic, for what they can bring to your organization. So you have to step back as the business owner and let them get on with it. You need to not micromanage them. Melodie just gave a snapshot of some of the systems that she's implemented and strategies that she's put into my business. That's why she's here. That's her area. That's for Melodie. And it's kind of, so whilst the strategic element of that, the top line strategic element of deciding where we're going next is obviously a conversation that I'm leading as that business owner, but how we get there and finding all those little problems along the way, that's piece by piece, and that's Melodie's expertise. So you have to give that respect and that space to the people that you hire. Now, if you're thinking, so I want you to have a think about the people around you in your own business, own organization. They could be full-time employees, they could be freelancers, they could be contractors, they could be service providers that are with you for the short or long term. But if the idea of backing the heck off and letting them do their job scares you, if any of the personalities and people in those people you're thinking of right now, if the thought of letting them get on with it worries you, then it's actually you that's screwed up. It's the business owner that's screwed up. You've hired the wrong people. You've hired the wrong person, and it's not their fault when it goes wrong. It's your fault when it goes wrong. And that's because, as we also all know as business owners, the buck stops here, right? It's kind of when my explosion happened, yes, I had people around me that stepped up and helped me get out of that, but it was my brand, it was my company, it was my money that was on the line. So we all know that it's essentially, it stops with us, we are responsible, so we need to hire people that we trust well enough to take our brand, to take our business, and to take it to another level in partnership, not being micromanaged on the way. So I found my ninja, and I want to make sure that all the business owners here that are thinking about needing tech partners, whether that's, as I say, it could be on a long-term thing, it could be a short-term thing, but you need to find the right people. So I'm going to give you a few ideas on how you can find that partner that is more than just a taskmaster, more than just somebody that's going to take one little project at a time and walk away when things go wrong. So the first thing I would say is know enough to know what you need and to ask the right questions. I learned that, as you know, the hard way by not really understanding what I needed. I wanted a new website. I wanted a new e-commerce system. I didn't really even know what that meant. I just meant, all I knew was I want my customer to be able to do this. but I should have known more. I should have known more. Now, since it is a partnership, Melodie, what would you add to that in terms of having a client come to you asking the right questions?
Before Wendy and I started working together, Wendy had already gone through Infusionsoft University. It's not like you have to go through that, but we were able to have a much higher level discussion than we would otherwise. It's really difficult to talk about some more advanced Infusionsoft strategies if a business owner doesn't understand tagging, if they don't understand a basic campaign. So because you had that base knowledge, we were able to have better conversations.
Yeah. You can actually have a partnership conversation and both understand where you're going. And the next tip is, if you don't know enough to ask the right questions to ask, get help. Ideas on where business owners who aren't necessarily au fait with the systems that they're going to be using, how can they find out more?
Infusionsoft has a great just base Infusionsoft University. If you don't want to go to an in-person event or maybe it's cost prohibitive, there's a great online program, Mastery. There's fantastic books on Infusionsoft. Troy Burchard has one, Wes Schaefer, the Infusionsoft Mad Scientist has one. They're all great resources. You can also just look at free blogs online. Just take the time to educate yourself. Be empowered about this.
Yeah, it is about taking responsibility. This is a big one for me, and not everybody in business agrees with me on this one. I'm told you should negotiate, you should haggle more. Now, when it comes to service providers that are big faceless corporates, then I'll negotiate like hell. But when I'm talking to another person that I want to take on, that I'm going to trust with my stuff, I'm going to trust with my brand, and to make things happen within my business, I believe very strongly that we pay what people are worth. Now, I started from 0 to. I know that obviously, as we grow, we can afford what we can afford. So obviously, you grow at that level, and you hire the people and the services and the systems that you can afford. You have to cut your cloth, as it were. But I would very much say I'm a big believer that if I really need something done, and if the person I've found to do that for me, I really believe are going to be able to do a great job, then if they tell me what they tell me they're worth per hour per project, I'll pay it. Now, the difference, the very important caveat there is they better bloody do it. And I demand I expect nothing less than absolute commitment and full giving your best to that role. But in my view, I want to be paid what I'm worth. I'm sure you do. Nobody wants to feel that they've been beaten down on their price. So, and then I think we've probably all been in a situation where maybe a client, a customer has haggled, negotiated, and you felt the need to drop your price for whatever reason. You don't feel great about serving that customer after that. We've all been there, and so for me, pay as you can afford, cut your cloth, but when you find good people, pay them what they're worth, and then they'll stick around. Don't be seduced by complete overhauls. We've said this, and we're kind of hammering it home because it's. I know so many business owners that start out, and well, like I did, sort of, I'd got to this point of, hey, it's going well. I'll throw money at this big new idea. Often we think as business owners that we need the next shiny thing, and that may not always be the case. Melodie, what's your experience of that as from your side of the coin?
It's especially as a technical person, sometimes I get into someone's application and I think, oh man, what did this person do? And there is that temptation to say, oh, we can do it so much better. But oftentimes the best idea is incremental overtime change. And especially when you first get into a relationship with someone, a business relationship, don't commit to somebody that wants to overhaul your entire system and you've never worked with them before. You've basically decided to marry someone before you've even dated. So if an overhaul is necessary, make sure you do a smaller project with them first. Make sure that you get to know them, that your communication styles work, that their quality of work is up to par and up to speed for what you're looking for.
Cool, thank you. I talked about paying people what they're worth, giving them space to do what they're brilliant at. And as a business owner and as a leader of my team and my organization, I demand absolute accountability. And that was something that you often learn from things going wrong, as I said earlier, about how some people stepped up and how others didn't. And it made me certainly realize as a person and as a business owner how incredibly important that is, because our businesses are very precious to us, but nobody cares as much about them as we do. And when things go wrong, and things will go wrong, because things go wrong all the time, and that's fine, and that's life, but absolute accountability. But there is a big difference between accountability and blame. And blaming people when things go wrong is so unbelievably unhelpful, and it's just bad energy, it's a waste of time, it's just bringing everything and everybody down. What you need to do is have people that will step up and take accountability and responsibility for their role, and they're part of the process, they're piece of their cog in the wheel, but you don't blame. You figure it out and you move on. Did you want to add anything to that?
I would. We work, and to me, a very exciting industry, and it's very new. I think we forget sometimes just how it's not been around for very long. So a lot of the times we're making it up as we go along. And when you're working, okay, so to give you an example with Wendy, she's got a website, and to make that website work, there are about 12 different services that we use. Mm-hmm. 12 different services with 12 different developers and all sorts of things happening. And we do everything in our power to make sure that that's all smooth. But sometimes it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And sometimes things go wrong. And if a business owner comes to me and they're like, well, this is all your fault, you should have known. And yeah, it is my responsibility as the service provider, but I can't know everything. And I tell you, that business owner that's like, oh, this is all your fault and you need to fix it, I'm gonna fix it, absolutely, because that's the kind of business that we run. But I don't wanna work with that person again. Because ultimately, I want a partnership with our clients because I want them to do well. And there's no perfection. I'm sure if you run a business, it's never as smooth as you think it's going to be. So if you can maintain that partnership of working together to that shared goal, you're going to have a lot happier of a relationship and feel better with yourself as well.
An industry secret that isn't really a secret because we all know it perfectly well. We are all making this up as we go along. And nobody has membership sites and e-commerce. Nobody has it all figured out. No corporation, no company, no website is immune from explosions and things going wrong. And I think it's very important as business owners that we understand that too. In that nobody has the silver bullet, and any agency or potential partner or anybody that tells you that they're going to make it happen and it'll totally work without any question, they're lying, because they cannot possibly predict that. Stuff goes wrong, we're making it up, we step out every day, that's what we do as entrepreneurs. And most important of all, your ninja, whatever shape or form your ninja may take, whether or not she comes in on a horse or not, your ninja is a human ninja, a human being, which means that things about accountability and not blaming and respect and letting them get on with their job and all of those things are incredibly, incredibly important.
One back.
And so probably the most important thing of all of this is be nice. Because if you're not nice, that sounded very English, didn't it? Be nice. But you have to treat people with respect and be cool and nice to do business with. That's when your team stays. I have an amazing, incredible team around me that are incredibly loyal to me and to my brand. And we get that in large part by being nice to each other. Now, if you would like to tap into some of the business tech ninja genius that is Melodie, please, there's some contact details up there now, businesstechninjas.com/icon, because she's given you just a taster of just a few things she's done for me today. But Melodie has helped my business in so many ways. She makes it so that I actually get to have a life and not have to think about all the stuff that I'm not good at, and it means that I focus on what I'm good at. Melodie, tell them a bit about what they'll get from this.
So every month I'm very blessed to know a lot of people in the industry and get an inside scoop on new tech that's coming out, new strategies or softwares related to Infusionsoft, membership sites, and WordPress websites. And I'm not a fan of long, drawn-out emails. And if any of you are familiar with Tim Ferriss's 5 Bullet Fridays, it's kind of the style I go for. But instead of 5, I go for 3, because 3 is kind of my favorite number. And if you don't like emails, it's cool, because I do a 3-minute video where it's basically like we're sitting down for coffee once a month, and I'm like, hey, guess what you can do with your membership site or your Infusionsoft every month. I have a lot of fun with it. So if you wanted to opt in, that would be cool.
So we're just going to go back over. Melodie's just going to talk you through what we told you at the beginning we were hoping to share with you, and hopefully you've got some value that you can apply to your business.
So discover the nuts and bolts of building an online $1 million company while still having a life. So this comes down to those systems and processes of everyday practice, the emails that are coming in, the different things that you're doing every single day, and how to make them better and smoother. Avoiding the number one mistake that businesses make when scaling, which is believing that there's some silver bullet that's going to solve all of your problems. And then the number one mindset trick that will transform your business and your life is, Wendy?
The number one mindset trick was to hire good people, to hire impeccably and back off afterwards. Now, as I said at the beginning, the reason that we're here, the reason that I've flown in from rainy England to support Melodie and be with her today is because she is nominated as a finalist in the Partner Showcase Awards at this icon, and we would really we would really appreciate it if you could help her win. So Melodie, talk them through what they have to do.
If you don't have the app on your phone right now, then what you have to do is go to either the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, and then type in Icon Infusionsoft, and you can download it there. Once you've downloaded the app, it's going to ask you to send a confirmation email to the email you've registered to the event for. Once you have the app, if you go to the agenda and look on Wednesday, and in the agenda you're going to see the title of this presentation, which is Flip Camera to $1 Million Membership Site. And once you click on that, just scroll down a little bit. Beneath my name, it says Melodie Moore, and just beneath that it says Session Survey. They're going to ask you 3 questions, and those 3 questions are going to decide who gets to go and shake Clayton Mass' hand tomorrow on the main stage.
They're going to ask you questions, and they're going to ask you to rate this presentation and what you got from this presentation on a scale of 1 to 10. And what number would you like, Melodie?
10.
10.
11, but we might have to ask Infusionsoft if they can make that possible.
We would very much appreciate some 10s for business tech ninjas. So all that remains is to say a big thank you for joining us. Thank you very much. I really hope you got something out of today. Thanks very much.
Go forth and make your membership site fabulous.
Thank you.